Peace and welcome to the culture here on the Black Star Network. I'm your host, Faraji Muhammad. Thank you so much for tuning in and being a part of the conversation. Folks, happy Friday. It is officially the last day of the month for us as we celebrate Women's History Month. We're going to talk a little bit about that. But first, let's talk a little bit about how the U.S. is going to be changing their race categories on some of their forms, including the census form. What does that mean for folks who are often feeling marginalized? We'll also talk about how the Supreme Court, by them changing the affirmative action ban, how it has affected how Black college students write their essays. We'll have that discussion later on. We'll check in and talk to Sister Benny Bloodworth about Black America and Project 2025. And later, it is Cowboy Carter Day as Beyonce drops her 27-track album. The question we're posing is, can Cowboy Carter push Black women forward? Let's have that conversation. So stay tuned. It's all happening on today's edition of The Culture here on the Black Star Network. Let's go. All right, folks, welcome to the culture here on the Black Star Network. I'm your host, Faraji Muhammad. Thank you so much for tuning in and being a part of the conversation. Happy Friday. There we go. Happy Friday, y'all. Thank you so much. We are broadcasting live today, folks, and I appreciate each and every one of you for joining me as we stream on a number of various platforms. First and foremost, let's talk about our home platform of Black Star Network. You can go to our website today at blackstarnetwork.com. Download the app for free. Follow us on social media at Black Star Network. And we ask that you just put something in the bucket for us as we are looking for your support to be investors and stakeholders in this fantastic movement we are embarked upon. So go to our website today at blackstarnetwork.com. Also, we're streaming live on Amazon platforms on your Amazon Fire TV. Take a look at us. You can find us on Amazon Prime Video. You can find us on the Prime Video app, Live TV The News, or find us on Amazon.com under Prime Video, then Live TV The News. We're also streaming on the Freevee Network, where you can find us under On Now, under News for Freevee. There we go. And you also could check us out on Plex TV, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Just search for Black Star Network or find us under Live TV, The News and Opinion. Now, we're also streaming on Big Brother Roland Martin social media spaces, so you can check us out on his Facebook page as well as his YouTube page. And on those spaces, you can find the illustrious Culture Crew. That's right, folks. That is our dedicated legacy watchers, people who have been riding with us, people who just love to jump into the conversation, pose their questions, bringing up new insights as we have these conversations on air. You could be a part of the conversation. And again, this is an interactive process. So as you're posting, I'm reading what you post. So make sure that you are heard loud and clear so you can jump and be a part of that as well. Big shout out to the online culture crew that's on the platform, that's in the YouTube chat. Good to connect with y'all once again for another live show. The ABX Girl, I see you. Damon Blissett, I see you. Tiana, I see you. Jeffrey Payne, welcome to the chat. Thank you so much for checking in, Jeffrey. Pauline Hurd, I see you. Mark Hasty, thank you so much for checking in. Welcome to the chat. Lydia Brown, thank you so much. Wild Democrat Nut Job, I like to hear from you. Thank you for checking in. Cindy D, I see you. Deidre Hall. Tiana, I got you. You don't like my music. Right on, Be Free, crew. I love that. Thank you. You don't like my music. And my brother, Official Sanika, checked in as well. And folks, again, you could do the same. So just jump into the chat and be a part of the conversation. All right, folks, speaking of somebody jumping in, I'm joined by my sister, who is an education and parent advocate. She is she's been an administrator. She's the principal of the Doris L. Morrow Online Academy. She's a fantastic contributor here on The Culture. I've been really appreciating her time and her insight on all of these conversations. My sister Kimberly Morrow is joining us once again, all the way from the great city of Los Angeles.
Hello.
Kimberly, good afternoon. How are you?
Good afternoon. You know what? I am recovering from a bit of a head cold this week. So just bear with me. I hope I'm not too nasally.
Right. Got you. Hey, look, we both got some shirts on. I was rocking this shirt when there was like, I think it was like International Women's Day one day. So I was like, let me bring this back as we close out the month.
Yes.
This is from Rosa Parks, but we close out the month on our side because on Monday it will be the 1st of April. But we wanted to bring this back. So I was like, all right, it's the end of Women's History Month. And this has been a lot of conversation, what you got on? When I said, what shirt?
Okay, so this is Miss Kathy Williams, and she was the only woman Buffalo Soldier.
Get out of here.
Yes. So she enlisted in the U.S. Army as a man. She went under the name William Cathay. And once she had gotten sick and then she had to be hospitalized numerous times, but they finally found out she was a woman and she was honorably discharged. And then she went and joined another regiment that came under the Buffalo Soldiers. So she became the first woman Buffalo Soldier.
What's the name again? What's the name?
Her name is Kathy Williams.
Kathy Williams, first woman Buffalo Soldier.
Only woman Buffalo Soldier. Only woman. Yes. When you go to the Buffalo Soldier.
I love when you bring these little like women history facts. I want you to keep bringing it because I love it.
Yes.
I didn't even know about this part of our history.
When you go to the Buffalo Soldier Museum in Texas, they have a section dedicated to her. So she is someone that they honor and they revere. So yes, I actually got this t-shirt when I was in Texas. It's been quite a few years now, but when I went to the Buffalo Soldier Museum in Texas, that's when I got this t-shirt.
Come on, I love it. I absolutely love it. Look, we're gonna have to take our first pause. When we come forward, Kim, I want to get your take on how the U.S. government is planning to move after nearly 30 years, folks. The United States government is changing the racial categories on a lot of its forms, including the census forms. And, you know, you might not think that makes a big difference, but for some people who have often felt unseen and marginalized by the U.S. government, this is a huge step forward. So we're going to talk a little bit about that. And plus, I got some whole lot of other great things. My sister Corinna Denise, our great culture crew member, she's going to be joining us in a few moments as well. So, folks, get ready, get locked in as we have this first half of the show here on The Culture on the Black Star Network.
Fanbase is pioneering a new era of social media and investment. This next generation social app has already raised $10 million and has just opened a new round to invest. For details on how to invest, visit startengine.com/fanbase or scan the QR code. Another way we're giving you the freedom to be you without limits.
As bad as Trump was, his economy was worse, and Black America felt it the most. He cut health insurance while giving tax breaks to the wealthy and big business. He stoked racial violence, attacked voting rights, and if reelected, vowed to be a dictator and, quote, get revenge. We can't go back. As president, I put money in pockets, creating millions of new jobs, and capped the cost of insulin at $35 a month. There's a lot more to do, but we can do it together. I'm Joe Biden, and I approve this message.
Game on. State of the Union 2024. Huge night for President Joe Biden.
This was a CVS receipts type of night.
He dragged the hell out of the Supreme Court. And he said, y'all gonna see the power of women.
Trump's brain is melting as we speak.
We want to organize from a place of strength. There's no confusion whatsoever about what they've done and what they plan to do.
What Donald Trump is doing is presenting a fallacy.
He is convincing them that he's all in it for them, when in fact he's all in it for himself.
We do not feel Joe Biden. In spite of the success that have taken place during this administration economically, there are too many things where we do not feel like he's had our back.
You should also be investing in the barbershops and the beauty salons and the hookah bars and the folks who are going to the club, and there's a way to actually get them registered because we've done it before. But if you don't have folks who understand that dynamic, then you're missing a big opportunity.
So we said we just celebrated. For what? Why did you go to celebrate rather than recommit yourself to the fight if the very thing we went to celebrate has been gutted?
Republicans did not support a lot of the bills that were necessary to keep the country fluid. You can't only love your country when you win, right?
Oh, no. You guys don't want another $2 trillion tax cut?
This was absolutely the knockdown, drag out that we were really waiting for.
Black voters are the base. They're the most important base of the Democratic Party. There was very few language in this speech. At the time we see an attack on Black history, attack on DEI. The end of the BLM racial reckoning thing has come to a complete end because there was nothing in this speech for that.
Our movement has never been grounded in two-party politics in this country. All of our movements ultimately get co-opted by a state that is anti-Black.
They called the old because they knew the way, and they called the young because they were strong. And I believe there is a good combination of that, but we can have ideas and we can have visions and dreams, but we have to have our young people also working beside us because they are strong, and they will run that race, and they will run it to the end.
Activists, organizers, and young people have been pushing this administration to be on the right side of history and to do something about the issues that they care about.
While the Ukraine and Palestine are critical issues, they are not the only global issues.
Not a single Black person who should ever let it come out their mouth that I'm tired. Because there is somebody else who came before us who didn't stop fighting.
All right, folks, welcome back to The Culture here on the Black Star Network. I'm your host, Faraji Muhammad. Thank you so much for tuning in and being a part of the conversation. Joined by my sister, Kimberly Morrow, who is the principal of the Duracell Morrow Online Academy. And let's talk a little bit about what the U.S. is doing, the United States government is doing for the first time in 27 years, Kimberly, as they're changing how it categorizes people by race and ethnicity in an effort that federal officials believe will more accurately count residents who identify as Hispanic and of Middle Eastern and North African heritage. And I found this to be fascinating just because, one, I think that we are in a very, very different space. I mean, we could talk about DEI all the time, though we have been talking about it a lot. But more importantly, I think that one of the greatest revolutions in this country is when people start to redefine themselves outside of the categories of the white supremacist system, outside of the categories of the systems that they feel are oppressive, right? So it's just as much as folks say things like, you know, well, you're just Black, and somebody said, no, I mean, I could be Black, but I could be Afro-Latino. I could be Black, but I'm also from the continent, or I'm from the Caribbean. Like, to share that, to show so that people understand that their personal history is just as important in this process. And I think the government, after all these years, like I said, nearly 30 years, 27 years, is looking at this, and they're saying, well, how can we make sure that we include people into the conversation? What's your take on this?
It's about time.
Right.
Like seriously, it's about time. I remember when I first found out, and I read that article where it said it was like Egyptian and North African, but it's also East African too, because Ethiopians have to choose white as a category as well. And I learned that when I was still in college, because I had 3 dorm mates who were from Ethiopia. And that's when the census was coming around, and that's when I learned that. So that was actually quite surprising to me. So there are a number of reasons. Yes, it is good that people can take more ownership of their ethnic and racial identity. But another thing that is really important about all of this, a lot of resources are allocated to communities based upon this census.
That's right. That's very true. That's right.
So
very true.
therefore, if you are having to choose the category of white and you are not white and you identify, maybe you associate yourself more with a group that is in a economically deprived situation, that's money and resources that are not going to that community because you've had to identify as white.
Right. And that is part of why there are some groups out there, Kimberly, that are pushing or have been pushing for this to happen. I want to share what one group leader had to say. Mita Anand, who serves as the Senior Director for Census and Data Equity. Excuse me. I didn't even know this type of work even existed, but Census and Data Equity at the Leadership Conference on Civil and Human Rights. This is what she said. She said, you can't underestimate the emotional impact this has on people. It's how we conceive ourselves as a society. You are seeing a desire for people to want to self-identify and be reflected in data so they can tell their own stories. I think that's such a powerful quote from Mita Anand, that people today, and this is part of why I said this is probably one of the greatest revolutions, is that people are tired of living according to other people's expectations, other people's ideas of who they should be. They are tired of living according to the system's categorization of them. That's what we're really seeing today. That's part of this shift in both the culture and the language, whether it's even coming from the LGBTQIA community or any other community. Folks don't want to be labeled something that they feel like they're not labeled as. And to have that to be expressed on a government form, like a census form or like some other form, is something that is major. It's a major change.
And Faraji, think about nowadays with so many people who are tracing their roots.
That's true.
Where are they getting a lot of this information from? From the census reports. So if I'm looking at the census reports for my family and I see white, I have all kinds of questions now because I know that my family was from a different country. I know that they're not white. So this has all sorts of implications, not just for the people who are living today, but for generations to come. So it's past time that they've dealt with this and that they are changing this.
Absolutely. You don't like my music, you checked in. I love what you said on this. You said people want to be free in the true sense of the word. I think that's a powerful moment. That's a powerful statement. You don't like my music. Thank you for that posting that. People want to be free, Kimberly. Nobody wants to feel confined anymore, right? At least not according to somebody else's standards,
Correct.
And there are people that are pushing against that, you know what I'm saying? But it's like this happens to me all the time. When I tell people my name is Faraji. I don't think it's the craziest name in the world. It's 7 letters, folks. And they say, oh, my name is Faraji. And you know what people often say to me? Do you have a nickname, bruh? Do I have a nickname for 7 letters, bruh? Like, sis, do I have a nickname?
So, Kimberly,
open up your mouth and say it.
The name is Kimberly, which is probably a very common name. There were so many of us, but teachers always said Kim. Nobody wanted to take the time to say my whole name. So I get you, Faraji. I get you 100%.
And now very quickly, before we take our next part, when people start to self-identify, when you do have a group of people who are becoming, quote unquote, into their own, who want to tell their own stories, how do you think that will impact the institutions that, that we interact with on a daily basis, whether it's government institutions, healthcare institutions, and all of that? Because if people start to self-identify, and I think this is at the root of what we're seeing with the gender conversation. When people start to self-identify, it forces people to get, one, out of their comfort zone. And then I think, two, it will force different policies to be enacted to create, to accommodate this new identity of this person.
And it also, unfortunately, it creates this backlash. Then it becomes this, now they want to fight against it. And so anytime we are trying to, we just want to be free, it's like somebody is trying to tear that away from us, because for some reason they believe it's taking something away from them. You know, I don't know who said this, but somebody said the problem is especially here in America, we live from this place of scarcity. Like, we just believe there's not enough for everybody. So if you want something, then that means you're going to be taking it away from me. It's like, I think we need to get out of this lack and scarcity mindset, because this world, there is so much in this world. It's enough for all of us. So that's just me on my soapbox.
No, that's a good soapbox to be on, because I totally agree. Official Sanika, you said white supremacies or white mediocrity's narrow definitions of race and ethnicity have to evolve. Absolutely. You said it's a shame that it has taken so long for America to catch up to the people. That's a great point too.
Yes.
Great point too.
Yes.
You got these narrow definitions, but then now we're at a point where once people start to self-identify, once they start to say, you know what, this is who I am. No, this is the story I want you to tell about me and the people that I come from. Then I think that's going to create a domino effect in policy. That's going to create a domino effect in how we see each other in the world, in the space. So to your point, Official Tanika, I think that's an excellent point. It's a shame. It's a shame. But guess what's at the root of it, though? This is my belief. And Kimberly, I'm going to give you 30 seconds to speak to this. I think at the root of it is just we're tired of feeling oppressed. And going back to what You Don't Like My Music said, people want to be free in the truest sense of the word. And if they want to start with their name, how many black folks get conscious and they go from Charles to Akbar? You know what I'm saying? Right. Or you know what I mean? They get conscious. So people want to be free in the truest sense of the word. What's your take, real quick?
No, I agree with you. Not only that, we are tired of people telling us who we are. We could now feel like a Roland Martin commercial. I've heard it during the
right.
Let me tell you who I am. You don't need to tell me who I am. And so all of this comes down to, this is why people got so mad when they talked about critical race theory and all of those things, because they know that it's true. This is all about systemic racism, and we are trying to tear down at the house, one brick at a time. We're tearing it down. We're tearing it down, and they don't like it.
Absolutely. They don't like it. Look, they're going to have to live with it because it's happening. Look, we got to take another quick pause. When we come forward, let's shift gears. Let me talk about what the affirmative action ban, how that has affected how Black students tell their stories for college essays, and how there's a major challenge right now where Black students say they have to either feel like they have to trauma dump or they have to really speak down on them being Black. We'll have the conversation with my sister Kimberly Mara, and we're going to be joined by Corinna Denise. Stay with us. That discussion's up next on The Culture here on the Black Star Network.
Fanbase is pioneering a new era of social media and investment. This next generation social app has already raised $10 million and has just opened a new round to invest. For details on how to invest, visit startengine.com/fanbase or scan the QR code. Another way we're giving you the freedom to be you without limits.
As bad as Trump was, his economy was worse, and Black America felt it the most. He cut health insurance while giving tax breaks to the wealthy and big business. As president, I put money in pockets and capped the cost of insulin at $35 a month. There's a lot more to do. but we can do it together.
I need you to scream for your new beginning. 5, 4, 3, 2. I need you to shout for it. I need you to shout for it. It won't always be like this. Sooner or later, it's gonna work in your brother's favor, in your sister's favor. They shall not die. They shall not die. They shall not die. I want you to embrace somebody and tell them welcome to the greatest season of your life. Hug somebody, welcome.
All right, folks, welcome back to The Culture here on the Black Star Network. I'm your host, Raji Muhammad. Thank you so much for tuning in and being a part of the conversation. Joined by my sister, Kimberly Morrow, who is an educator and parent advocate as we talk about the issues. Very quickly, let me just say this. Kimberly, let me just say this. Big shout out to, we have some of the most dynamic staff members here at Black Star Network. Big shout out to Keenan, who is one of our great, he wears so many hats. But that Pastor Jamal Bryant Church commercial gets me going every day. It gets me going. I'd be like, welcome to the greatest season of your life. I'd be like, yes, right. Boy, it gets me going. So I just wanted to throw that out there, y'all. Just a little, little Friday side note. That thing gets me going. All right. Let me also joined by another sister that gets me going. She gets me going, all right. She always bringing it. My sister, she is a college admission advisor, and she's doing some great work in activism and advocacy. My sister, Corinna Denise, is joining us. Corinna,
hey, happy Good
Friday. Gets me going. Welcome to the best season of your life.
Oh, what we got going on today with the shirts, y'all?
No, let me tell you why. First thing is Women's History Month. It's Friday, and this is the best season of our lives right now. What are you talking about, Corinna? This is what we do.
Yeah.
All right, Corinna, real quick.
What you got on, Corinna?
Yeah,
what I got on?
Yeah.
Okay, wait, hold on. Don't talk, act. Don't say show. Don't promise, prove.
Yeah.
Hey, Kimberly, I think Corinna herself designed that shirt. That is, if I don't know nothing else about Corinna Denise, y'all, that is.
But I can't take the credit. I did not design the shirt.
I know. But that is you. Like that is you. Don't you be like, shut up and do it.
That's why I got it. Kind of sums it up. Yeah,
absolutely. All right, let's talk a little bit about this latest situation coming out of dealing with Black college students. Corinna, I know this is something that's near and dear to you as well, where the Supreme Court is, of course, we know that they have officially ended affirmative action in higher education. However, that's the cause. Here's an effect of that situation. It is now causing Black college students to rethink how they're going to, what they're going to write in their college essays. And according to the latest coming from Associated Press, take a look at this, folks. When the Supreme Court ended affirmative action in higher education, it left the college essay as one of the few places where race can play a role in admissions decisions. For now, for many students of color, instantly more was riding on the already high stakes writing assignment. Some say they felt pressured to exploit their hardships as they competed for a spot on campus. Wow. Corinna, I'm gonna let you take this, and we're gonna take another quick pause. But what do you make of that now? that Black students feel like they have to trauma dump, and they got to talk about the struggles of being Black just in order to be seen for an interview or to even be selected for a spot at school.
Well, I got some thoughts, right? And I got some notes.
Go ahead.
Because, this is what I do. And being a college counselor, advisor for over 15 years, oh my goodness, so many thoughts come to mind. But first, I really want to give the audience just some context when it comes to the college admissions essay. Yes, for a lot of schools, it is required. For some schools, it's optional. When it's optional, I've always pushed and advised my students to go ahead and submit it. But as far as college essays after the overturning of affirmative action, yes, to the naked eye, it might appear it could be more challenging, but in all honesty, it's always been a challenge where students are navigating how to tell their stories with this particular piece when it comes to race. And I will also say, especially for a lot of public state institutions, in all honesty, they're really looking at those numbers initially, GPA, that's what I mean by numbers, test scores like the SAT and ACT, and the essay might be more of a supplement if that student is just borderline and they need some other quantitative measure per se to decide, should we admit this student? But for a lot more of our competitive schools, right, like our Ivy Leagues, more highly selective college admissions, they're definitely leveraging that essay. But, as far as race is concerned, Faraji, students aren't necessarily stating in their essay, oh, I'm Black and I'm Hispanic or whatever the case may be, but they definitely allude to maybe some of the obstacles or hardships that they might have overcome. And yes, connecting it to show where race sometimes has been a barrier for them. But something else I want to point out, especially in the height of the pandemic, a lot of schools decided that they would go test optional, especially some of our Ivies, surprisingly, and Brown, right? To kind of alleviate that burden, considering the temperament of the country at the time. But unfortunately, 4 years later, a lot of them are planning to, lift that option where now, yes, we're going to look at test scores again. And, so definitely students are going to have to submit that essay, especially if the school is test optional, but then it's going to be a little bit more competitive.
Yeah. Hey, Corinne, I want you to hold that thought because we got to take another quick pause. Hold that thought. But when we come forward, I want you to finish that because I think you're speaking to something and giving us some context on how we should look at this. Folks, we got to take another quick break. When we come forward, let's talk about how Black college students feel more pressure to talk about their struggles as a Black student, or they even feel pressure to even trauma dump for college essays as they're looking to get into schools now that affirmative action has been banned. So we'll talk a little bit more about this. Stay with us. It's The Culture here on the Black Star Network.
Fanbase is pioneering a new era of social media and investment. This next generation social app has already raised $10 million and has just opened a new round to invest. For details on how to invest, visit startengine.com/fanbase or scan the QR code. Another way we're giving you the freedom to be you without limits.
I have something I want to tell you. I am running for president.
Of the United States? Holy.
I'm paving the road for a lot of other people looking like me to get elected.
Brooklyn's first Black representative.
You're about to make history.
You want to be president? You ain't no man.
Maybe we should find your mother. All you got is your one vote.
You sound just like every other politician.
Do I look like every other politician?
Truly, you can't win.
And why can't I win? I have an opportunity to make a difference.
This isn't a campaign. It's a joke. The only thing anybody's going to remember is that there were a bunch of Black folks who made fools of themselves.
See, too too much suffering. And I don't know how to not try.
We're living it proud.
I don't think I'm special. I just want to remind people what's possible.
We need something that's going to make some noise.
The Black Panthers and Shirley Chisholm. It's like thunder and lightning. I'm going to force all the politicians to be held accountable.
You're gonna do all that. School teacher from Brooklyn.
Harriet was just a slave. Rosa was just a domestic. What is it you do for a living again? The people of America are watching us.
Black Star Network is here.
Oh, no punch!
I'm real revolutionary right now.
Thank you for being the voice of Black America.
All momentum we have now, we have to keep this going.
The video looks phenomenal.
See, there's a difference between Black Star Network and Black-owned media and something like CNN.
You can't be Black-owned media and be scared.
It's time to be smart.
Bring your eyeballs home.
You dig?
All right, folks, welcome back to The Culture here on the Black Star Network. I'm your host, Faraji Muhammad, as I check in with my sisters, Kimberly Morrow, Corinna, and Denise, as we have the conversation about how Black students are feeling the pressure to tell their sob stories or trauma dump after the affirmative action ban in higher education, and how these are now the college essay is becoming a little bit more significant and carries a little bit more weight now for Black students to get into the college space. All right, Corinna, you were talking a little bit about how we should see the college essay, and I want to let you finish your point on that.
Yeah, so, basically I just wanted to kind of build some context here, right? How we should be viewing the essay, like, in all transparency. First and foremost, they are looking at those numbers. Again, GPA, test scores, do those things align, right? And then depending on the school, their process might be different as to how they're actually leveraging a college essay or a supplemental essay, sometimes a diversity statement, additional essays that they write in addition to the general admissions essay that they will look at to see, okay, maybe if the student is just not quite where we need them to be with our numbers, is this something else we can consider to get them over the hump? So yes, I can see where this would be alarming, especially for Black students or just other students of color. How are they going to be looking at this, especially with the affirmative action? But something I really want to make sure that is mentioned here today, Faraji.
Sure.
With our students who are not of color, okay, white students, have to be honest, this is almost like a barrier removed for them. What they thought would have disqualified them, now the doors are kind of open, because you'd be surprised, even when students are looking to apply for scholarships and they see, the qualifications, low income, first generation, is automatically presumed that we're not talking about white students. And even they don't want to reveal in cases their race, right? In an essay or on an application, depending on the admissions process or the school, that's automatically going to disqualify them, which is not necessarily the case. And something else I want to make sure that I highlight, okay, there are some other hidden but blatant indicators with race. So aside from the college admissions essay, that general information section of the application, they're going to ask, and you check a box, your race, ethnicity, so they're going to find out, even with your free application for federal student aid, your FAFSA, there are other ways for them to identify, your race or ethnicity if it's not necessarily in that essay that you're going to write. But I would say, while, it does raise a red flag, but through my college advisor lens, I don't really see a significant change per se, because unfortunately you are looking at those numbers. But what I would encourage students to do is, you definitely want to speak to your experience. Now, unless absolutely necessary that you're going to connect the dots that it was actually race that played a factor, then absolutely it's something you want to share, because again, there are other indicators that you can't necessarily hide from, that if they really wanted to know, they would find out. But something else to keep in mind too, that doesn't usually come up, is when are these students also applying in the admissions cycle, right? Because if you're applying in the latter part and they've admitted nearly half of the class already, then it's going to make the process a lot more competitive. But yeah, overall, unfortunately, this does remove the barrier for a lot of our white students, because now they see an obstacle removed to go to a school that they can afford, that perhaps Black students might not be able to afford. And that makes it unfortunate here. So we see this coming under the umbrella of trying to strip away DEI, affirmative action. We have the critical race theory. We see all of these so-called barriers, which they see are for them, because we are accelerating now, right? Black students, people of color, and we're the ones who are in the front of the line for these positions or these admissions. I've actually dealt with teachers, who felt a way that, oh my gosh, this Black student that I'm teaching, you got into Harvard, but I was waitlisted like 15 years ago. Like, come on, man. Like, why is that still heavy on your heart and mind? Like, that's really a personal issue.
Right.
But I say all that to say, I see how this could be alarming, but there are other ways to get around this. Now, last thing, if the school is test optional, then I would say that's where we're really concerned with the essay maybe playing a role. But it's also too finding your college fit and finding the school where those numbers do align, so that you have a higher chance of being admitted. But yeah, those are excellent. That's I wanted to.
No, those are excellent thoughts, and those are great. That's great advice. Very quickly, Kimberly, I want to bring you back into this, because this year's senior class is the first in decades to have to deal with this whole thing, to navigate these college admissions without affirmative action. Chief Justice John Roberts wrote that universities can still consider how an applicant's life was shaped by their race, quote, so long as that discussion is concretely tied to a quality of character or unique ability. We got a couple of moments before we take our next pause, but I want to give you a chance to speak to that. How do we make that? Because that's like, okay, you can speak on it, but you can't speak on it, right? You got to focus on the quality of character and unique ability, but you can't say because you overcame it or you've been struggling because you're Black. So how do students and more importantly parents and others help to shape those stories of those students?
Well, it's going to be challenging, but can I just say this before I get into answering that question? One of the things that Doris L. Morrow Academy has done recently, we've partnered with Avalon Carver Community Center to create a Dream Achievers College and Career Readiness Program. And that's exactly what we are going to be working with rising seniors beginning this summer and throughout the following school year with rising juniors and seniors to help them through this process. So we can actually help them with answering these essay prompts, because a lot of times what happens is schools, and Corinna can attest to this, they'll give the student an essay prompt. So there is a way to finesse their way around it. And what I found it interesting when I was reading the article about the, so it's not that I'm not answering your question, but I'm kind of going around it right now. Faraji, just bear with me.
Sure.
Was that one of the students in the article, his name was Merritt, and he was struggling with what to write. And he said when he decided to write something that felt authentic to him, it still talked about his, I don't want to call it a struggle, but an experience he had, but it was more authentic to him. And I think as long as students can write and they can be as authentic as possible, and they can tie in with what Justice Roberts said about how it shaped their character, then that is the key. And what I found interesting from that article is that the students were struggling with writing these college admission essays, but it's similar to what they have to do with scholarship essays. Many times I've worked with students and I'm like, well, you need to show that how you've overcome that obstacle, not just talking about what the obstacle is, but how you overcame the obstacle. So in this particular case, I believe there is a way. And the bottom line is, it's all strategy, it's strategic, because schools like Harvard and in schools, even in California, when we got rid of the affirmative action a while back, now you're just, it's just another way to make sure that the schools can maintain diversity. So you just want to make sure that you are doing what is necessary so that the students can maintain, so that the schools can maintain their diversity without having to say, you know, we took thus X amount of Black students. Now they can point to an essay. This is how we got to there. So I think you do what you need to do to get a job. Is that correct? If it's a particular job you want, and there's something that you need to do to get that job, that's what you're going to do. So we just have to teach them this is a job that you need to get right now.
That's another great piece of evidence of advice there. Look, we got to take another quick pause when we come forward. Let's switch gears. Let's talk a little bit about Project 2025 and how one group is trying to do its part to prepare Black America for this, what some would say is a blueprint for destruction from the Trump administration. We'll talk about that with Chromatic Black, with Benny Bloodsworth, as we discuss this issue. Stay with us. It's The Culture here on the Black Star Network.
Fanbase is pioneering a new era of social media and investment. This next generation social app has already raised $10 million and has just opened a new round to invest. For details on how to invest, visit startengine.com/fanbase or scan the QR code. Another way we're giving you the freedom to be you without limits.
As bad as Trump was, his economy was worse, and Black America felt it the most. He cut health insurance while giving tax breaks to the wealthy and big business. He stoked racial violence, attacked voting rights, and if reelected, vowed to be a dictator and, quote, get revenge. We can't go back. As president, I put money in pockets, creating millions of new jobs, and capped the cost of insulin at $35 a month. There's a lot more to do, but we can do it together. I'm Joe Biden, and I approve this message.
Terry and I, we couldn't play in the white clubs in Minnesota. It felt like such a, strength through adversity type moment that I think Black people just have to go through. We have to figure it out. We make lemons out of lemonade. But there's a reason we rented a ballroom, did our own show, promoted it, got like 1,500 people to come out. Clubs were sitting empty. They were like, where's everybody at? And I said, they're down watching the band you wouldn't hire. So it taught us not only that we had the talent of musicians, but we also had to have the talent of entrepreneurship. It wasn't like a seat at the table. It's like, no, let's build the table. That's right. We got to build the table. And, that's right. And that was the thing. And of course, after that, we got all kinds of offers. Of course. Right, to come play in the clubs. But we didn't do it. We said, no, we're good. No, we're good. We're good. And that's what put us on a path of national. And of course, when Prince made it, then it was like, okay, we see it can be done.
All right, folks, welcome back to The Culture here on the Black Star Network. I'm your host, Faraji Muhammad. Thank you so much for tuning in and being a part of the conversation. Happy Friday. I hope you've had a great week. And I appreciate you spending the last few moments of the last day of the week with us as we are continuing to have the conversations that we need to have. And we're going to do our part to celebrate the end of Women's History Month in a little bit. But if you're watching us, make sure that you tell your friends and family to watch us and stream us here on our home network, blackstarnetwork.com. That's our website for the network. You can go to our website today, download the app for free on all of your devices, as well as follow us on social media at Black Star Network. And we ask that you put a little something in the pot, be an investor, be a stakeholder, be one who is a part of making the change and are part of providing us with the resources to bring Black content like no other. So just go to our website today at blackstarnetwork.com, and we thank you for your donations. Now, we're also streaming live on Amazon platforms, so make sure you check us out on the Amazon News on your Fire TV, on Amazon Prime Video. You can find us there. Just find us on the Prime Video app under Live TV The News, or find us on Amazon.com under Prime Video, then Live TV The News. We're also on the Freevee network, so you can find us there on now under News for Black Star Network, as well as Plex TV, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Just search for Black Star Network or find us on Live TV, The News and Opinion. And of course, we're streaming on Big Brother Roland Martin's social media. We're on his Facebook page. We're on the on his YouTube channel. We're also on X. We got Culture Crew members on the X platform. So big shout out to the Culture Crew on all of those spaces. And you can join us for the conversation as well as it will also notify us if you've donated as well. I'll make sure I'll do my part to shout you out, whether it's your donation or whether it's your comment or your question. This is an interactive experience for you and for us. So I thank you so much for being here with me. All right, folks, I'm joined now by my sisters, Kimberly Morrow, who serves as the principal and founder of the Doris L. Morrow Academy. She's also an educator and a parent advocate, talking to us about some of these issues today. Also joined by my sister, Corinna Denise, who is a college admissions advisor. She is a political and strategist, and she talks to us a little bit about some of these issues as well. Now, let's talk about something that I know that is near and dear to both of their hearts, especially to Corinna, which is how do we prepare for Black America for Project 2025, right? How does that happen? Well, we are joined now by Abeni Bloodworth, who serves as the founder of Chromatic Black. Chromatic Black at the Center for Popular Democracy and Allies are launching a 2024 and beyond Creating Our Shared Future town hall. Now, this will be a virtual town hall that goes into a deep dive into Project 2025 and its impact on healthcare, civil liberties, and social justice. That's the website right there. And this is something that a lot of crew members, many of you, Corinna and Kimberly, a lot of folks, as we have these conversations about politics, somebody in the chat is going to say, Project 2025. So when I got the opportunity to talk to Abeni Bloodworth about this, I was like, got to bring my sister on because there's so much discussion. But more importantly, how do we prepare for it? How do we look at this and all of those details? So Abeni, welcome to The Culture here on the Black Star Network. How are you this afternoon, sis?
Fantastic. Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. Absolutely. First and foremost, let's talk about the work you're doing with Chromatic Black. Talk to us. What is Chromatic Black all about?
So Chromatic Black, we are narrative strategists. So we deal with story, beliefs, perceptions, and how they shape behavior. What we know is that we are the stories that we tell ourselves, and we are a collective of artists, activists across the spectrum of creative disciplines. Our mission is to disrupt the master narrative, which we get from Toni Morrison, which is the contemporary mutations of white supremacy, by good story. And we do that by bridging media makers, journalists, technologists, creatives to some of the best thought leaders, big brains, so that the art that we create is functional, informed, and responsible to our community.
Absolutely. Let's talk a little bit about this before we take our next pause. But you, along with Chromatic Black, in collaboration with the Center for Popular Democracy, and you have a host of allies as well, robust network of concerned citizens. Y'all are going to launch this 2024 and beyond, creating our shared future town hall. Give us some little bit of insight about this town hall.
Yeah, so we came across this Project 2025, and we know the havoc and the chaos that the Heritage Foundation is wreaking, in our community. And so for those of us who are not familiar, the Heritage Foundation is behind all of the DEI attacks in our community. And they have been stealth and they are effective. They are attacking the Fearless Fund. They are the ones that powered the overturn of Roe versus Wade. And so this is a vision that's coming out of the Heritage Foundation, funded by the Koch brothers. And that's 100 conservative Christian nationalists, and it's their vision for America. And it's not about Trump, because this plan is already in place. But this is their vision for America. And so what they've done is they've created this 920-page playbook about how they're going to dismantle the democracy.
Wow.
What that means is, and the plan starts off, they're going to gut civil service. So it means that all of those federal civilian employees that are currently employed, which is a way that we need civil service, because it's a way to ensure a check and balance between an administration and the business of the country. They're going to gut it. They are recruiting an army of loyalists to this particular 2025 agenda, that day one, and Trump has said it, he becomes a dictator on day one. So those employees go away. It talks about gutting HUD, eliminating the Department of Education. It talks about eliminating all rights for women, gender equity, for LGBTQIA, racial equity. If you read this manifesto, it is, we keep jumping up and down. We're like, this is not business as usual. This is not a threat. It is a promise. And they're backed up by, hundreds and millions of dollars across this country. And so what we want to do is sound the alarm. One, understand the tactic. We're surprised that they wrote it and published it so you can read it. So we're encouraging everyone to please read it, understand the policies, the implications, to make your own decision. And we're encouraging people to please vote.
Absolutely. And look, we're going to talk a little bit more about this, because you got two dynamic sisters right here with Corinna and Kimberly. Corinna, I know you are just chomping at the bit, as they say.
Woo, the man's working right now.
To have this conversation. Look, folks, I want y'all to jump in the discussion as well. Post your comments, share your thoughts, your questions, as we talk to Benny Bloodworth of Chromatic Black, how they're about to host a virtual town hall to get us prepared for the Heritage Foundation's Vision for America, what is termed as Project 2025. Look, we got to take a quick pause. When we come forward, let's get into it. Stay with us. It's The Culture here on the Black Star Network.
Fanbase is pioneering a new era of social media and investment. This next generation social app has already raised $10 million and has just opened a new round to invest. For details on how to invest, visit startengine.com/fanbase or scan the QR code. Another way we're giving you the freedom to be you without limits.
As bad as Trump was, his economy was worse, and Black America felt it the most. He cut health insurance while giving tax breaks to the wealthy and big business. As president, I put money in pockets and capped the cost of insulin at $35 a month. There's a lot more to do, but we can do it together.
When you talk about blackness and what happens in Black culture, we're about covering these things that matter to us, speaking to our issues and concerns.
This is a genuine people-powered movement.
There's a lot of stuff that we're not getting. You get it, and you spread the word.
We wish to plead our own cause. Too long have others spoken for us. We cannot tell our own story if we can't pay for it. This is about covering us. Invest in Black-owned media. Your dollars matter. We don't have to keep asking them to cover our stuff. So please support us in what we do, folks. We want to hit 2,000 people, $50 this month, raise $100,000. We're behind 100,000, so we want to hit that. Y'all money makes this possible. Checks and money orders go to P.O. Box 57196, Washington, D.C. 20037-0196. The Cash App is $RM Unfiltered. PayPal is R Martin Unfiltered. Venmo is RM Unfiltered. Zelle is Roland at RolandSMartin.com.
All right, folks, welcome back to The Culture here on the Black Star Network. I'm your host, Faraji Muhammad, joined by three dynamic sisters as we get into a conversation about Black America preparing and having real discussions about Project 2025. This is the Heritage Foundation's quote-unquote Vision for America, 925-page document that really outlines what they want to see in America. And I'm joined by my sister, Benny Bloodworth, who serves as the founder and CEO of Chromatic Black, an organization that will be hosting a virtual town hall very soon. Let me just pull this up here. They're going to be hosting this town hall on Thursday, March the 28th at 7 p.m. Eastern Time, 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And they're doing this along with Center for Popular Democracy. There's the flyer right there. And this is going to be an opportunity for us to have these discussions. Now, I'm also joined by my sister, Corinna Denise, as well as Kimberly Morrow, and of course, you. I want to hear what y'all have to say on this, crew, as we have the conversation about Black America and Project 2025. My question is, first, Benny, and then I'm going to bring Corinna and Kimberly into the discussion. When you're seeing something like this, and I've been hearing about it, you know, again, people in our that watch the show, they have often brought this up, saying, "Look, we need to really have some conversation around 2020 Project 2025." Deidre, I saw you comment. You said we're finally talking about this, but it just seems that it is crazy that a major group like the Heritage Foundation can put something out like this. That those who are part of the Trumpers, the MAGA folks, they can embrace this. And that this is not seen as something other than treasonous. This is not seen as something other than that really eats at the foundation of quote unquote democracy in this country. And it could be widely distributed, it can be discussed, but it's not stopped. And so is that a part of what's your take on that, Benny? It's that we can we're in a time right now where you can lay out a master plan on how to break down the government, undermine democracy, and seemingly it seems like, it's okay.
Because the conversation is about power.
Mm-hmm.
And what we know is that this is a fearful response that's being powered by money, and it is informed by this fear that the country is blackening and browning. Mm-hmm. And so this is about social, being able to, it's the pushback against, Barack Obama being in the White House. It's also it's a pushback against Black Lives Matter and protests and all of the gains that we've made over the course of 90 years. And so what is now in place is a judicial and legislative framework that has us in the same place as we were coming off of the plantations. And so what has happened is this is, I turned 52. I've never been personally afraid for my person. But I am really concerned because this is, we are, the sound alarm is not extreme, is that this is war and the oppositional side is winning.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I want to make this very clear. Y'all actually had this town hall yesterday on the 28th, but it is available to be seen widely. You're putting it out. Let's put out the website information, how people can see the recap or can see the rebroadcast of this.
Yep. So we're going to publish the recap on Monday, but we're going to have 6 subsequent town hall meetings where we actually do a deep dive into the document itself. We encourage people that I know that, we have a place where we don't want to, read. Or we want sound bites, like 20-second sound bites. This is not that time. We need everybody to put on their thinking cap, as my mama would say. We need everybody to understand exactly what is going on, because we're going to need all the genius of our community to figure out how do we live 2024 and beyond. And so we encourage people to sign up for a town hall so that you can understand. We're going to talk about develop counter narrative to some of the stuff that we're hearing, like your vote doesn't count, or it's the same thing, or president that Trump is the best president that Black folks have ever had. We need to understand that the heritage foundations are on our HBC college campuses. We need to organize our young people. We need to talk to our young people. We need to buy books. We need to understand that the erasure that is occurring here. But, and I sound the alarm, but I also want to say is that we've been here before and we won. And I trust and I believe in the genius of Black folks. So
there it is. I think you got to say that. I think you got to say this, Sister Benny. You got to say that, right?
But I need us to know what we're dealing with, but I trust and believe that once we are clear and that we are we're clear about that North Star, then I trust and believe in the genius and the good intentions and the heart of Black folks.
No, I am right there with you. I think Kimberly and Corinna and all the folks who's watching, I think of most of the folks that's watching, everybody is not a friend that watches the show, but I think a lot of folks that are watching feel the same way, that we believe in the heart and the minds and the destiny of Black people. We got to take another quick pause. I want to bring Corinna, Kimberly into the mix as we check in with Sister Beanie Bloodworth of Chromatic Black Folks. We're talking about Black America and Project 2025. What's your take? Post your comments in the chat, as whether you're on Facebook or on YouTube or on X platform. Just jump into the chat, and we would love to hear what you got to say. Stay with us. It's The Culture here on the Black Star Network.
As bad as Trump was, his economy was worse, and Black America felt it the most. He cut health insurance while giving tax breaks to the wealthy and big business. He stoked racial violence, attacked voting rights, and if reelected, vowed to be a dictator and, quote, get revenge. We can't go back. As president, I put money in pockets, creating millions of new jobs, and capped the cost of insulin at $35 a month. There's a lot more to do, but we can do it together. I'm Joe Biden, and I approve this message.
Fanbase is pioneering a new era of social media and investment. This next generation social app has already raised $10 million and has just opened a new round to invest. For details on how to invest, visit startengine.com/fanbase or scan the QR code. Another way we're giving you the freedom to be you without limits.
To remain silent. Anything you say can and will be used against you in a court of law. You have the right to an attorney, and if you cannot afford an attorney, one will be appointed for you.
When you talk about Blackness and what happens in Black culture, we're about covering these things that matter to us speaking to our issues and concerns.
This is a genuine people-powered movement.
There's a lot of stuff that we're not getting. You get it, and you spread the word.
We wish to plead our own cause. Too long have others spoken for us. We cannot tell our own story if we can't pay for it. This is about covering us. Invest in Black-owned media. Your dollars matter. We don't have to keep asking them to cover our stuff. So please support us in what we do, folks. We want to hit 2,000 people, $50 this month, raise $100,000. We're behind 100,000, so we want to hit that. Y'all money makes this possible. Checks and money orders go to PO Box 57196, Washington, D.C. 20037-0196. The Cash App is $RM Unfiltered. PayPal is R Martin Unfiltered. Venmo is RM Unfiltered. Zelle is Roland at RolandSMartin.com.
All right, folks, welcome back to the culture here on the Black Star Network. I'm your host, Faraji Muhammad, joined by my Sister Abeni Bloodworth, who is the CEO and founder of Chromatic Black, and she's talking to us about the work she's doing along with the Center for Public Democracy, Center for Popular Democracy, as they are looking to have deep dive conversations about Project 2025. Yesterday, they had their virtual town hall meeting. However, it does not stop there for them for the next few weeks into the next few months, actually. They are hosting a number of discussions under the banner of 2024 and beyond, creating our shared future town halls. I'm feeling a little Kendrick Lamar. I love it. I feel a little Kendrick. But these are upcoming town halls that will focus on the following topics. On April 25th, they're talking about reproductive rights. May 30th, environmental justice. June 27th, LGBTQ plus rights. August 29th, they're talking about public education. September 26th, immigration. And October 24th, racial equity, common health action. So that means that over these next few months, these conversations will be had, and you can be a part of all these discussions, folks. But these conversations will be had with the backdrop being the Heritage Foundation's vision for America, their Project 2025, and how Black America can navigate through those draconian policies into a space where we are finding freedom and liberation, and we can carve out a piece of this destiny of our own as well. So I want y'all to sign up for the email list and making sure that y'all stay informed about the work that Chromatic Black and Center for Popular Democracy is doing as we have this conversation. All right, let me bring back Corinna, Kimberly. Y'all have been very quiet on this. Corinna, I want your take on it. And then Kimberly, I'd love to hear yours. And then we're going to get some comments from the crew. Corinna, what's your take on it?
Well, first of all, hello, Sister Abeni. Love the name of your organization, Chromatic Black. Just want to say that. I will definitely be signing up for those workshops. But thank you for prioritizing this and bringing awareness to our communities, particularly Black America. I've been trying to sound the alarm in my own way about Project 2025, and every chance I get, I've actually been putting stuff on my social media, and I just want to share a little bit of it with you quickly, saying, it is written for all to read in plain sight, yet never seen. And I just wanted to allude that to your point that, we are not enough. And they're actually planning our demise, and they're not even being secretive about it whatsoever. And so many of us still are unfamiliar with what Project 2025 is, that it even exists. And, that they're even plotting and planning for this to happen. I was presenting at a TRIO conference last weekend, and I met, an aspiring politician who's going to be running in a local election here in South Florida. And he was like, Project 2025, what's that? And I'm like, oh my God, like, you need to learn about this and you need to educate your potential constituents. So I'm really, really happy that we're having dialogue about this to break it down. What I do want to ask you is, how is your organization getting the word out to let people know that you are having the workshops and to basically just educate on the matter? And are you going to also be engaging on some actual boots on the ground activities outside of the virtual activities that you already have scheduled?
Yeah, absolutely. So we designed the town halls for movement leaders, community organizers, media makers, and journalists, or anyone who's like got a tribe of people that they're accountable and responsible to. So they're one to help people be able to unpack this tone, right? And then what we're hoping is then people are then able to take it and then and share this information with their respective tribes. So that's the town halls. And then in addition, the ground activations, we're doing something called Get Future Ready, which are workshops across the country. Because we need to have a conversation about what is our vision? What's the vision that we cast forward? Right? And so it's not only knowing what we're fighting against, but being able to facilitate conversation in our community, 15 folks or more, about what is our North Star, what is our vision for the world to be. And we want to have those conversations with Black folks so that we know what we're fighting for. And so that's the ground activations. We're working on some focus groups to begin to figure out, because the way it's written, it's a policy wonk. It's, they contradict themselves within the document. It's not an easy, light read. So we want to be able to host these focus groups. And you know what I was thinking just now with the culture is, let's partner and do focus groups so we understand how do we take this massive document and convert it into messaging. So I like that. It was written. I'm like, I just wrote that. I'm like, that's great. And then we could run like a robust media campaign across all of the platforms. So that's our contribution. I want to also just raise the flag. It's not just Chromatic Black and the Center for Popular Democracy. What we're doing is we're taking a look at all of the movement leaders that are doing good work and bringing them around a table. So there's Sister Song, Monica Simpson, who's doing all this great work around our reproductive rights and our reproductive health, reminding us that this is about more babies while Black women bringing babies into the world are not protected. This document talks about criminalizing women who have miscarriages or are not able to bring babies to term. Who are those women?
Black women.
Right. And at the same time, the rights to eliminate a woman's autonomy over their body so that they have more babies, that's not for our community. And so helping people to understand how to read, or as my great grandmother would say, what's up underneath the cornbread of what's being written. And so those are those Get Future workshops. We've got Monica Simpson doing and then there's Natalie Burke, who's been doing Common Health Action out of DC, who's been doing work for over 20 years around the intersection of health equity and race, and the algorithms and the tools that are used by the medical establishment that harm us. And so then she has a plan. And so basically elevating our work, because we're doing good work, but oftentimes we're operating in silos, we're stratified, and right now we need each other. That is the antidote to this craziness. And so for us, it's just about creating a table, convening, providing the space, and then trusting the process.
Absolutely. We're going to take another quick pause. When we come forward, Kimberly, I want to get your take on this as we talk to Sister Benny Bloodworth from Chromatic Black. Folks, we are talking about Black America and Project 2025. Many of you have been sharing your thoughts, saying that, look, we need to do this. Janelle, I like what you have to say, but we're gonna have to. I want to ask Sister Benny about this when we come forward. You said our responses to Project 2025 are late, but they must be comprehensive, and we can talk a little bit about that in terms of what is the time frame. How do we respond in a timely manner, considering if those in political office are moving slow, like what Corinna experienced down in Florida, they're moving slow. How can the people increase the pace of getting folks to understand the implications of this plan being put together. So we'll talk a little bit about that on the other side. Stay with us. It's The Culture here on the Black Star Network.
As bad as Trump was, his economy was worse, and Black America felt it the most. He cut health insurance while giving tax breaks to the wealthy and big business. As president, I put money in pockets and capped the cost of insulin at $35 a month. There's a lot more to do, but we can do it together.
Fanbase is pioneering a new era of social media and investment. This next generation social app has already raised $10 million and has just opened a new round to invest. For details on how to invest, visit startengine.com/fanbase or scan the QR code. Another way we're giving you the freedom to be you without limits.
Black Star Network is here.
Oh, no punch!
I'm real revolutionary right now.
Thank you for being the voice of Black America.
All momentum we have now, we have to keep this going.
The video looks phenomenal.
See, there's a difference between Black Star Network and Black-owned media and something like CNN.
You can't be Black-owned media and be scared.
It's time to be smart.
Bring your eyeballs home.
You dig?
All right, folks, welcome back to The Culture here on the Black Star Network. We're talking about Black America and Project 2025. If you're not familiar with this document, it is the document laid out by the Heritage Foundation and essentially their vision for America, and a document that has been embraced by Trumpers and for those who are part of the MAGA group within the Republican Party, saying that this is the way for America to go. Now, where outside of the document itself, even though the document is full of very draconian policies as it relates to everything from reproductive rights to social justice and racial equity, there are a number of Black organizations that are doing work on the ground to inform people of this document. And we're talking to Sister Abini Bloodworth, who serves as the CEO and founder of Chromatic Black, to talk to us about how Chromatic Black, the Center for Popular Democracy, and other organizations have come together to have different conversations about Project 2025 and the impact that it has on Black America. So, Sister Benny, I want to kind of get your take on what Janelle said, then I want to hear from our Sister Kimberly. Is it too late? Because, we're still about 8 months out from the national election. There's still a lot of ground to cover to get people involved. But, as our Sister Janelle said, that it's even though our response is late, it must still be comprehensive. What's your take on that? Are we too late in responding to this? Is this the right time? What's been the thinking behind Chromatic Black Center for Popular Democracy in terms of the timeline?
Yeah, no, I don't think we're too late because, November 5th hasn't arrived yet. So I think that we have a lot of power. And, if you look at trends in the past, people start making decisions about who they're going to vote for 3 months out, right? I think the work that needs to be done is we're also seeing where I think it's 43% of Black women are thinking about opting out of voting this year.
Really? 43%?
43%. There's a definitely, there's it's complicated.
Okay, all right, it's complicated. Okay.
It's complicated. This is 43%. I saw something where 43% of Black women are, not a fan of our sitting president. We're concerned about what's happening, in Gaza and in our foreign policy. We're concerned about the economy. We're concerned about these rollbacks. I think that this administration hasn't really been, as effective as it could be about communicating the wins, right? We can't necessarily sit on our laurels or believe that we're going to show up in ways that we have in the past. And so I think the work is that this is not a binary decision. This is not about two candidates. This is about an ideology that either serves us or does not serve us.
That is interesting.
Issues are important. That what we care about is important. We just want to make sure that we have the enabling conditions to be able to fight a good fight.
Absolutely. Kimberly, I want to bring you into the mix of this as you're hearing this. And, it's something you said 43, Sister Benny said 43%. And I'm looking at this piece. I wanted to throw this in here. When Essence, they did a Black Women's Roundtable release. They released this poll, the Power of the Sister Vote poll, to the issues that matter most to Black women in the country. And a majority of women, 47% across generations, are dissatisfied with the direction of the country, which is up 18 points since 2022, Kimberly, primarily due to cost of living concerns. What's your take of this whole issue?
Oh, well, thank you. I've been sitting here listening, and I have so much to say.
All right, bring it.
Oh my God, I have so much to say. But first of all, Sister Abini, thank you so much for the work that you and your organization is doing. A few things you said I'm going to try to hit on, but this is what I find very interesting that people do. They publish the document, it's in sight for everybody to see, but what they're doing is they're banking on nobody reading it.
That's right.
And the fact that not only has your organization and the other organizations that you are working with, not only have you read this document, but you're also sharing the document. And here's the thing, we talk a lot about our history and how they disrespect our history and they're trying to erase our history. Well, this is part of our history. We have had people in our history who read, who fought, who've challenged the system. And so that's on them, that they are choosing not to understand our history as a people. As you were talking about this document, who kept coming to my mind was Thurgood Marshall. Thurgood Marshall argued with them their points on their platforms. I hope that's making sense, because as I was saying it in my mind, it sounded a lot better. But yeah, he went toe to toe with them and won. And it's like they have forgotten about these people that we have had in our history. We haven't forgotten. We know our history. And yes, there are always going to be numbers of us that are not going to read a 900 plus page document, but they have forgotten about those of us who will read that document point by point.
That's real. That's a good point.
We'll make sure that others understand it. So everyone in our community does not have to read that 900 plus document. It is important for the leaders of our community, like you, like myself, like Faraji, like Corinna, for us to know what is in that document and make sure we're sounding the alarm. And another thing I was thinking of the entire time, I'm like, and I know people don't like to hear this, but I'm sorry, every time I hear things like this, it really reminds me of Germany when Adolf Hitler took over. And you had people that were saying that can happen, as he continued to systematically take away the rights of the Jewish people. And so we are in a situation where, oh, that can't happen here, that can happen here. It can absolutely happen here. We've seen it happen in other countries. And it can happen. And so I'm so glad, I'm so thankful that your organization, that you're doing what you're doing. And I hope that the culture partners with you and does some media where maybe those people that aren't going to read a 900 plus page document, maybe they do get it in bite size. Because let's face it, everybody's not going to. Some people do need to have it in bite size social media.
I agree.
Right.
That's the truth. And it's been that way. And so those are things that we as a group of leaders, those of us that feel that we are in leadership positions, it is incumbent upon us to make sure that other people are getting this information as they're able to digest it.
I think that's an excellent point, Kimberly, and I think that as we have this conversation, and we're going to take another quick pause, but as we have this conversation, we just got to recognize, folks, that we should not expect everybody to read a 925-page document. You know what I'm saying? It should not be expected, because we don't read a lot of hell, some of the political leaders don't even read the laws that they put into action. So it's not that we're not there. I don't think for us as a people, as a community, as a group of folks, we're at that place. But I agree with you wholeheartedly, Kimberly, that those of us who do have the platforms and the time, and this is what you do, then break this thing down. Help us to understand how to move forward on this. Look, we got to take another pause. When we come forward, let's continue the conversation about Black America and Project 2025. Stay with us, folks. It's The Culture here on the Black Star Network.
As bad as Trump was, his economy was worse, and Black America felt it the most. He cut health insurance while giving tax breaks to the wealthy and big business. As president, I put money in pockets and capped the cost of insulin at $35 a month. There's a lot more to do, but we can do it together.
Fanbase is pioneering a new era of social media and investment. This next generation social app has already raised $10 million and has just opened a new round to invest. For details on how to invest, visit startengine.com/fanbase or scan the QR code. Another way we're giving you the freedom to be you without limits.
Black Star Network is here.
Oh, no punch!
I'm real revolutionary right now.
Thank you for being the voice of Black America.
All momentum we have now, we have to keep this going.
The video looks phenomenal.
See, this difference between Black Star Network and Black-owned media and something like CNN.
You can't be Black-owned media and be scared.
It's time to be smart.
Bring your eyeballs home.
You dig?
All right, folks, welcome back to The Culture here on the Black Star Network. I'm your host, Faraji Muhammad, joined by our lovely contributors, Corinna Denise, and my sisters, Kimberly Morrow. We're also joined by the CEO and founder of Chromatic Black, our sister Benny Bloodworth, to talk to us a little bit about what Chromatic Black and other organizations are doing to bring us up to speed and to get prepared for this idea, this document of Project 2025. We're talking about Black America and Project 2025. And I want to go back to Kimberly's point, because I think that is so true, Sister Benny, where we're talking about how Black folks will, look at this whole thing, that we do need to break it down into bite-sized pieces. And some people will get offended by that. But I'm going to be honest with you. Like, people just don't have the time. As much as we want to focus on the policy issues or the barriers that have faced Black America in this country, cost of living, family, personal and mental health, all of those things are pulling at us as well. So to even have, a virtual town hall, to even have, you have about 6 to 7 different town halls or conversations that you're going to be having over these next few months. this is pivotal. This is important. This is big in a very, very major sense of the word, because it helps us to understand a piece of this situation, one thing at a time. Now, I'm going with what Cindy said. Cindy D checked in and said, we need the Black Cliff Notes for Rodney.
Yes, we do, Cindy.
Cindy said we need the Black Cliff Notes.
Yes.
And I'm for that. Look, I'm for it. I'm all for it, right? Because this is, I mean, look, there are so many, and Sister Benny, I know that y'all have talked about this. There are so many different Black agendas that are out there that's on the market for people to, and I'm often surprised that we can be a part of demonstration and marches, and they literally will say, hey, we have an agenda online, whether you're talking about the Women's March, whether you're talking about from the Million Man March of 95, whether you're talking about the 50th anniversary of the March on Washington. Every major demonstration had some policy attached to it. But it seems like every time we have conversations, we don't go back to those policy books. We don't go to those agendas that were outlined 25, 30 years ago, 10 years ago, 5 years ago, to use it as the basis of our policy objectives for this time. We act like we got to recreate the wheel and say, all right, well, what is what? And I'll be like, bro, all you got to do is just do the research, because it's not as if any of those policies or those agendas came to life. They have still good ideas. So all I have to say is I want to give you an opportunity to kind of speak on that, like how to make sure that we stay focused on this and not lose momentum.
So this is what I'd say. One is, again, the town halls are built for people who are caring, that this is their ministry, and that what we're asking for is that for people who are accountable, responsible, if you are a faith leader, you have a church, if you are a Sunday school teacher, if you're running an after-school program, if you're getting people out to vote, if you're working on reproductive rights, or whatever your jam is, we strongly encourage folks to understand, because we are accountable. That's number one. Two, yeah. I agree, the Cliff Notes for Black folks, we can do that. And then what I'd say, the bottom line is that Black folks need to go and we need to vote.
That's all right.
Allies, everybody need to show up and they need to vote. They need to understand that this is not about personalities. This is not about how old someone is. This is not about our pledge issues. This is about our quality of life. That's it. Yeah. Also, this is the last thing I'm going to say. This democracy, everything that we have fought for and won in this country, is predicated that we are always working for this aspirational democracy. So it means that we have to remain vigilant. And every single person needs to contribute. It's not just about voting. It's about the health of the system. And so pick something, and then just in your busy schedule, this is the call to action. In your busy schedule, give an hour to the health of this democracy. That's all I ask for. Just pick an hour. So if you go take somebody else to vote, or if you register someone to vote, or if you care about climate change, or you care about the environment, or gender equity, or you want to tackle anti-Blackness, or you want to make sure that we have a criminal just system, then just pick an issue and go to work. Do the work, because what will happen is we will find ourselves in a place where they're building 91 cop cities across the country. Do you understand? Where they're passing legislation, where they've gotten rid of it's called cash bail bonds, where they judges that when you go and you find yourself in front of a judge, that if you happen to not be white or wealthy, you're not going to be treated fair. Children. So those of us who can, have more than enough, we need to be concerned because we need to normalize that this should be about all of us having what we require to thrive in this world. And so it takes that we're going to have to do the work.
Let me ask you this, and then I want to get my sister Corinna in it because she testifying over there. But let me just ask you this very quickly, Sister Benny. How do we make sure that this conversation about 2025, Project 2025, isn't a doomsday conversation? You said it in previous remarks. You said this is not a new place that we find ourselves to be in as Black folks, right? So some people will say, oh my gosh, Project 2025 is happening. And if it's happening, boy, we going back to the plantation. How do we have a balanced view of what the consequences may be? Because I know that if we work from a place of fear rather in a place of self-determination, those are two different energies. And when you're afraid of something, you're not always using the best of intelligence versus when you are self-determined. So can you speak to that? Then I'm going to let my sister Corinna say something.
Well, it just believes what you believe, which is why we deal with story. So I'll tell you what I believe. I believe the good conquers evil.
That's right.
And I've picked a winning team. And what that requires is I do the work and I'm ensured to win. I think that's how we have to approach this, and it's eyes wide open. A lot of this none of what we are talking about today is new for us, in that we've been here before. And so I can tell you that when I first read Project 2025, it sent me into a state of despair. Where I wasn't sleeping. It's like I don't have enough time. And then that report that you talk about, I went and I spent some time with Melanie Campbell in DC, who runs the National, and there was about 600 Black women in a space, and they were all doing the work, and they were, and they're all doing the work across this country. And then what it reminded me is that we are Harriet Tubman, we are Ida B. Wells, we are like all of that is a part of our DNA. And so the enemy hasn't changed. It's just that we thought that we were living in a post-racial America.
Right.
We thought that, we had solved that and litigated that, and, people had grown and evolved, and, we were just one, it's all about love. And so, and so now we're like, well, maybe that's not the case.
Yeah.
And we need to pivot. But I do agree with you. And I came out on the other side, I'm like, oh no, this just is about, let me get my sisters in a room and let us have clarity about what we're trying to do. And then once we have clarity as a people, then we're fine.
Absolutely. There it is. I love it. We got to remove the fear and replace it with faith. Corinna, talk to me. What's your take?
Well, yeah, I just want to mention too, I definitely don't think it's offensive for Raji to say that we can't all read a 900-page document. I mean, it's very dense. It's a lot. That's why you have experts to study this, break it down, right?
Yeah,
like what Sister Benny is doing, going into the community and educating us on the matter, right? And let's be honest here. You don't even have to read all 900 pages to know that it is dangerous. Okay, so let's just make that very clear. I also want to just mention too, we have to remember that this isn't all about Donald Trump, and we have to recognize that this is a piece of legislation, a calculated plan that they are on the precipice of executing, depending on what happens in November. So with that being said, we have to understand that it would happen, right? To your point, Sister Benny, you said it's not a threat, it's a promise. Whether or not Donald Trump is involved or not, he is just the face of this execution that they're looking to do, right? So we have to, be aware of this. And like I said, I would just encourage folks to just, even if you just Google and just read a few pages, just take a look at the Heritage Foundation's board, right? All white men. And the last thing I will say, that I hope would encourage all of us to continue to be optimistic on this Good Friday. Last Friday, here in South Florida, in Fort Lauderdale, we had the Africana Arts and Humanities Festival, and Michael Harriot was one of the presenters, and he was talking about his recent book, Black AF History, right? And he said something that was really, really deep to me concerning us as a people. And I just want to frame it this way. You know, you'll always hear us say that, you know, oh, we've always persevered, we're resilient, we've overcome. But he kind of remixed it and said, you know what, y'all not going to win. And you know why? Because Black people have a track record of being undefeated. And when you really take a step back to look at our history as a people, we are undefeated. And I think, you know, we have to recognize that, again, to Sister Benny's point, this is not about the people, this is about policy and our quality of life to survive. And I think you tied it in well, Faraji, too, that we can't work from a place of fear because sometimes fear can cripple us. That's what's happening to them, right? They're drowned in fear. They're waist deep in fear. Why they got to go and create this 900-page document, ultimately to be our demise. But we have to work from a place of reading this document, taking it in, right? Understanding it so that we can figure out how to defeat them, because we are undefeated. So we can make it happen, but it's just educating those who don't know about it, right? Because again, it's in plain sight. They're not hiding it. And we have to make sure we understand that this could be detrimental to our quality of life. But just to end on a good note on this Good Friday, we are undefeated. And I anticipate that we're going to remain that way.
Come on, Kimberly, bring it. We got a few moments left.
Thank you. Yes. And it'll just kind of carry on what you all said. And to remember, I'm going to end Women's History Month this way. We stand on the shoulders of so many strong women who have come before us. Sister Abini already mentioned Ida B. Wells. She mentioned Harriet Tubman. Do not forget Sojourner Truth. Let's not forget Joanne Robinson. Let's not forget our Shirley Chisholm. There are so many strong women who we stand on the shoulders of. And believe me, they went through so much that right now what we're asking people to do is read and vote. Please. I don't want to hear, I don't have time. No, those women and so many more. Oh, and Miss Kathy Williams, who pretended to be a woman, a man, so that she could join the U.S. Army and fight for this country, and is the only woman Buffalo Soldier. So when we sit here and we talk about how hard things are, these women have already given so much, and we stand on their shoulders. So we have no excuse. Read the document, some of the document, Google it, and then vote.
Right. Yes.
There it is. Sister Benny, we got like 30 seconds or so left. How can people get more information about the work of Chromatic Black, the work that Chromatic Black Center for Popular Democracy is doing? I'm going to sign up for this. So, you know, you're going to have a new person to inform. But I definitely think we need to have a conversation offline to discuss how we can start working together to start having these conversations over these next few months and going into the election year. But this is important. So how can folks get more details?
Yeah, so you know what? Visit us at chromaticblack.org or chromatic.black. We got an Instagram page. Drop us a line. We want to be in relationships, so we will follow up. So those would be two ways: chromatic.black, our Instagram page, or chromaticblack.org, which is our website.
Sister, I appreciate you, Sister Benny. Sister Benny Bloodworth, founder, CEO of Chromatic Black. They are hosting some virtual town halls. They're having conversation over the next few months. They'll also give you we'll be posting a recap of yesterday's discussion, talking about 2024 and beyond. So much great work that they're doing around the issue of preparing Black America for Project 2025. Even if Donald Trump doesn't get back into the White House, it doesn't mean that we should not be prepared. Because the forces will still be present. If Joe Biden wins, they're going to be stronger than ever before to try to keep us off of our dean, as they say. So we still have to do the great work. But Sister Benny, thank you so much for joining us. We'll certainly bring you back on. And keep up the great work that Chromatic Black is doing, the Center for Popular Democracy. And more importantly, thank you for being so good for the culture.
Yes, thank you.
To our fantastic contributors, Corinna Denise, Kimberly Morrow, I cannot thank y'all enough. Y'all made this Women's History Month absolutely phenomenal. Y'all brought the history, y'all brought the insight. Y'all always bring the passion and the fire, and I just enjoy being with you. Come on.
You know, I just had to get that last.
I get it. We're in friendly fire today, but I know it's going to be back up and running a couple of weeks from now. But I appreciate y'all for real. Thank y'all so much, Kimberly, Corinna. Thank you for being so good for the culture.
Appreciate
you too. Thank you. Have a good weekend.
You're welcome. Happy. All right, so folks, thank y'all so much. Look, I know it's a big weekend. It's Easter weekend, so I know there are a lot of things that are happening, but I hope and pray that y'all stay with your families. And if for those who are celebrating Easter, it's a great time to get recommitted, renewed our spirit, to make sure that we do have the spirit to continue the good fight, to stay in good trouble, and more importantly, do the work all in the name of the Lord and Creator. So I thank each and every one of you for joining me this week and today and being a part of the conversation. Make sure you go to our website at blackstarnetwork.com. Download the app for free. Follow us on social media. Also follow me, yours truly, at The Real Faraji on Instagram. You can also find me at Faraji on the X platform. And let's continue to build the community. Stay tuned. Up next at 6 p.m., Roland Martin Unfiltered. As always, never be afraid to challenge what's wrong. Stand for what's right while being yourself in the process. God willing, we'll look forward to talking to you next week for another exciting edition of The Culture, right here, only here, exclusively here on the Black Star Network. Have a great one. Peace.